better. There we go.
Ready?
Hey guys, how we all doing tonight? Hopefully everybody's enjoying their beautiful Sunday night. Hopefully you guys are enjoyed your good weekend. And usually this is the time of the week where I say, back to reality. But for some of us, we don't know what reality is. So as always, the first things first. The ones that do have to go to work tomorrow and that are essential, just be safe out there, be good, be precaution, take all the precautions, be safe, wash your hands, do everything you can, wear a mask, because it's just weird times right now. And the ones that are at home, that do have this disease, or they're in the hospital, or they are quarantined themselves, hopefully everybody's okay, everybody's safe. We're all rooting for everybody. Um, just a weird time right now. And then with the news that we just saw before doing this video, that the president extended another 30 days, of social distancing. Um, it's not easy. I understand. I'm sure a lot of people understand it's not easy right now. But as long as we all do our part, I'm sure this will be over soon before we know it. We just have to take care of one another, take care of ourselves, and just try to remember that we're all on the same team here, and hopefully everything just gets better as the days go on. So, with that being said, my name is Juan Rodriguez. I usually go by Junior. This video is coming to you live from YouTube Live, and I have another one on Facebook Live that my camera person's doing a very good job this last week. So thank you for that. And as I said, comments are always open, and so any questions that may happen, leave them, and we'll get to them as quick as possible. And let's all just have a fun night tonight, guys. So today we are going to talk about the New York Jets. Yes, those Jets. They, I wouldn't say it was one of the seasons that they thought they were going to have, with all the signings they did last offseason with getting Belcham, Osemele, and then their prize possession, which was Le'Veon. They all kind of figured it was going to come together, especially year two for Darnold, who had a really good year. It's just not the year that, not the Jets' year this year. It was just a lot of ups and downs, inconsistency, and really two of their free agent signings just kind of bailing. I mean, that's kind of a tough word. I wouldn't say bail, but you can kind of tell that their mind wasn't in it anymore. Their heart wasn't in it, which is a shame because they're really two good players. But the first one was last offseason was Kevin Belcham. He started left tackle in the NFL. He's been there for many years now. I think this is number 8. I think 8 or 9 for him. And he started as the left tackle, but then the play wasn't there. Whether it looked like he just, his heart wasn't into it. I don't know if there was just problems with him and his teammates, or just the coaching staff just not seeing eye to eye. And, they said, all right, well, we're just going to cut you and just, let you go. And that was kind of the end of that story for that signing. And then they traded for a guard, a former All-Pro guard back in 2016 of Kelechi Osemele from the Raiders last year, for a 6th rounder. And it was his story was kind of weird because he was playing and then he got hurt, and I don't know what it was. I don't know what the confrontation was. So any Jets fans that are watching this video, or any Jets fans that are on my Facebook Live that can help me out here. But from what I got of it was, he wanted surgery. The Jets didn't allow it, so he wasn't going to play. So it just came to the end where they cut him, and then he was able to do the surgery. It was just weird. That whole story was just weird on what the whole situation was. And then CJ Mosley, he came from Baltimore, and then he got hurt the very first week of the season, and then that was he didn't come back until later, but by that time it was just too little too late. And Le'Veon's first stint with the Jets, the first season, it was a roller coaster. he didn't get the money that he was asking for when he refused to sign the tag with the Steelers. He actually sat out that whole year last year, and he decided to sign with the Jets for less money. And there was rumors him and Adam Gase, that Adam Gase didn't even want him to begin with, but that this was more of an owner signing than it was a coach staff signing. And so that was the first issue. And then, his performance was just inconsistent, up and down, up and down. He'll have a good game, and then he'll have a bad one, and then he'll have an okay game, then he'll have a terrible game. And it was just too much inconsistencies. And then him already being rumored that, I guess, if the trade partner's right, that they would trade him out of New York. Well, second week, second, third week of free agency, he's still in the Jets. So maybe that was just a rumor. We don't know, but I don't know. I don't know if there's like a rift between him and Adam Gase. I'm not really sure. It's just we'll see what happens. And then, like I said, they lost Robbie Anderson to the Panthers, which I mentioned in the Panthers video a few nights ago. So they lost there. And then, like I said, Osemele and Belchum are now gone. And, last year was kind of a critical year for them because they needed to show signs of improvement. They did, but it wasn't enough to kind of convince the fan base, like if Adam Gase is the right man for the job. It's just, it's very hard not to make fun of him because of that press conference he had. He just looked out of it. And, you can see that on another video. I'm not going to bash the guy. I don't know if, he didn't get enough sleep or something was up, but he just did not look he looked more nervous and scared than anything taking the role of being the head coach. We don't know. It's just my observation. He looked like a psycho up in that podium. So, like I said, I don't know what's going on with the Jets, but, the other thing too was last year they only had 6 picks. They only had 6 picks, and that was all they did. And heading into the draft, they had 6, and they came away with 6. And when you're a team that doesn't have, at least 1 pick in every round, you have to make sure that you kind of hit on almost every single pick. So if you only have 6, you better make sure that you hit the picks, you hit every single one. I'm not saying they have to be Pro Bowlers and all pros and all that stuff, but they have to be able to contribute to the team in any way they can. And honestly, that was just a bad draft class for them. Starting with their first rounder, Quinnen Williams. It's not that he had a bad rookie year. He just coming out, he was in some people's eyes the best defensive player in the draft. And, it just, when you look at his stats, it did not look like it. I think he only finished with like 20 tackles and like 3.5 sacks, which was kind of like, you look at his combine and you're like, man, he should tear it up. But you know what they say, sometimes it's all fool's gold. The combine doesn't translate to the NFL sometimes. And I mean, he's still young. It's just, next year he kind of has to show that big jump. Because the Jets passed up on a lot of other players that were just as good as him, if not better, and he has to make that next big jump. And then they didn't have a second round pick, so that was a killer. But they did have 2 in the third, but again, no promise there. Joachim Polite, who coming into last year, in the last year's draft class. Polite actually was graded as a first rounder. And when draft day came and, first round was gone, he didn't get picked up. It was kind of like a story, like what's going on. And then second round came, still on the board. And that's when everybody had to start asking questions. Well, what is it? Does he have a medical issue that nobody knows about? Is he not committed? We don't know. But then the Jets finally took him in the third. They signed him. He went through all training camps, survived, preseason, and then when the final roster cuts came, they cut him. One stint, like one, just not even a year with the Jets, just a few months, and then his career with the Jets is over. And then he ended up in Seattle's practice squad. I think he eventually got up to the active roster, but as far as impact, none. It's just from what the media and the teammates were saying, is that he looked disinterested in his assignments. He sleeping in meetings is just not the impression you kind of want to leave on your coach when they picked you in the third round, because the NFL draft, every pick is valuable. So for them to go and get a third rounder and you get cut right after training camp or preseason's over, it's kind of like it was kind of like an eye opener. Like, oh man, this guy has all the tools. It's just he didn't pan out in New York, and hopefully he can bounce back. If not, he's just one of those deals, like all the talent in the world, but his talent's a waste. Man, that's a shame, really. And then in the third round, they had another third rounder, Kuma Edoga, offensive tackle out of USC. He didn't get a start until like midway, and then by his third start, he got hurt and landed on injured reserve. That's it. Like that was his season. Like nothing. There was nothing to go off that. There was no like. There's not enough film to see if like maybe there is promise to put him at right, to put him at left. There's kind of still like a gap of what's his deal like. But he's gonna get every chance to start now that Belchum and there's really not enough competition in that offensive line for the Jets to he has to start. I mean, if he can't start, then it's again another wasted third round pick. Then the fourth round, they went with Trayvon Wesco, the tight end out of West Virginia. To put it simple, 2 catches, 47 yards. Like that was it. Special teamers, and that was kind of it. Nothing. I mean, again, you don't expect nothing out of your fourth rounder, but you always want to see if he can do an impact on the team, but it just didn't happen. And then fifth round, they got Blake Cashman, who had to take over when CJ Mosley went down week 1. He played the first half, and he was playing really well, and it looked like, oh, man, the Jets finally got it. And then he missed the whole second half because he landed on injured reserve as well. And it was kind of like, oh, my gosh, are the Jets just that unlucky? We don't know. It happens, but, I think it should be no problem for him to get a starting role next year. We'll see. I mean, he already plays, and people know what he can do, and he has enough film for the Jets to decide if they want to put him in the starting lineup or not. But either way, that was probably their better pick, and then their last pick in the sixth round was Basson Austin, a cornerback out of Rutgers, a special teamers guy. He did a forced fumble and 4 pass deflections when he did get on the field. Other than that, just a special teams guy, good gunner. He's got the athleticism to be a gunner, so that's about it for that. And then other than that, the Jets are really just in a situation right now where if they have another terrible year, they have to make the decision if Sam Darnold is their guy, if Adam Gase is their coach, and that's kind of the thing. We don't know the situation right now. If Adam Gase has another bad year, it could be to a situation where they can fire him probably midway through the season next year, and you have to really think about the future. It's like, okay, well, did Sam Darnold do enough to prove that he was a franchise? I think he has. I think Sam Darnold is the future of the Jets, the quarterback future of the Jets, for years to come. It's just, if it were to happen, where Gase gets fired, then usually when a new coach comes in, they want their guy. But I don't see that happening. I think Sam Darnold's still young. I think they're going to still keep building around him. to the point where, whether they bring in a new head coach or not, I think they'll just see the talent that Sam Darnold can bring, and they'll, ride with him and then just go from there. Just go from there. And other than that, I mean, there's really not much to say about the Jets, other than they're probably grateful that Tom Brady is now out of the division, but now it looks like Buffalo's going to take the reins. I mean, they had a good year last year, and now we have to see what happens now. So, with all that taken in consideration and taking everything, it is now time for my prediction on who I think the Jets are going to take with the 11th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Yeah, we love that sound here. All right, here we go. And with the 11th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama. This is kind of like a BPA at this point for the Jets, because on my other videos, the talent and offensive linemen, and they really need help on offensive linemen. The problem is there one there worthy of the 11th pick? Is there one worthy of taking a guard or a center in the 11th pick? Probably not. You could probably get those guys in round 2, which they have. So at this point, it's probably BPA, and Jerry Jeudy's as good as they come. He's really good. To give you an example, this is just a couple of his accomplishments during his time. What people don't remember is that as a freshman, he didn't get to play. The talent, the depth ahead of him, there was just nobody's going to hit the field. And his sophomore year hit, he, still a little talent, but he finally got there as a slot, and he did his thing. He did his thing as a slot. So to give you an example, this is his career stats at Alabama. 159 receptions, 2,742 yards, and 26 touchdowns. That's his career stats in Alabama. I mean, for 3 years, that's pretty good. I mean, you're looking at about, dang near about 50 plus, 60 plus catches a year from a kid who didn't even get to play his freshman year. And if he did, he probably would have had way higher numbers. Some accolades that he got was, he was an SEC champion. Alabama, they won the SEC championship in 2018. They won the national championship in 2017. He was a 2-time first-time All-CC at the years 2018, 2019. And then he was a consensus All-American in 2018. And with all those awards, he won the Biletnikoff Award in 2018, which is given to the best wide receiver that year. And he was a close second, third to win it again. It's just Justin Jefferson won it. He had a good year, and, Jerry Jeudy to be a finalist again this year, it just shows that he's really good. I mean, he's as good as a route runner as I've seen come out in a long time. He's 6'1", 190. He ran in the 40 and 4.4, and he has a broad jump of 10, and it just shows out there that the speed, acceleration, he can do it all, from go routes to post to hooks. You can line up anywhere. You can line up in the Z, the Y. You can put him in the slot. He's a do-it-all wide receiver, and he's the best receiver in my opinion, in this draft class, because what he brings is versatility. He can return kicks. He can return punts. I said you could put him in the slot. You can put him anywhere, and he's just a good weapon. What it is what separates him from the rest is separation. Not a lot of receivers can get that separation. I know in college it's a little different, but there has to be something there if he played in a conference that's all defense, and that the SEC lives for is that they're the best defensive conference in all of college football. And for him to get 5-7 yard separation, that's amazing. That's really good. And, Jerry Jeudy's as good as they come. And, I think Sam Darnold would be jumping up and down for joy if Jerry Jeudy just lands here at 11. And, he finally has his true number 1. Robbie Anderson is good, but he left. They signed Rashard Perryman from Tampa Bay, he's now on the Jets. And then they got Quincy Enunwa, who's another good receiver, just probably not at this time number one. And I think bringing in Judy, now he has a trio and a running back situation where they can make it work. The offensive line, yeah, it does need a little work, but they can make that work. And it all depends on what Adam Gase and the rest of the crew decide to do from there on out. But I mean, to get the best wide receiver at number 11, I think without having to trade up, I think that's amazing. I think that's one of those things where you just gotta, just I guess if you're a Jets fan, just be jumping up and down for joy because a talent of that caliber usually doesn't last till the 11th pick. But I think due to the circumstances with the rest of the teams and their team needs, that it could probably roll that way. And I mean, as a Jets fan, you'd probably be excited too to get Jerry Jeudy. I think anybody would. But right here, I think this is where he lands with the New York Jets. And with that being said, that is the end of this video. Tomorrow, we're going to do my team, the Las Vegas Raiders. They're on the clock. So hopefully, you guys tune in. Hopefully, everybody's safe out there tomorrow. Be good, be safe. And then tomorrow's the Raiders. They're they're another team that has 2 first-round picks, so multiple first-round picks, going with Miami and Minnesota, and now San Francisco. They're another team now with multiple first-round picks. So tomorrow will be the Raiders at 12. So hope you guys see you tomorrow. Y'all have a wonderful night.